Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare Krishna,
Just
Hare
do a
Krishna,
short kirtan
Krishna Hare
and then we'll start the class. Vrindavan Divya Chintamani Dhama Ratana Mandira Vrindavana Ramya Sana Divya Chintamani Ratana Mandira Avrita Kali Raja Hamsa
Pili Kore,
Avrita Kalini
Raja Hamsa Kali Kore, Rahe Shobhe Kanaka Kamala.
Tare Madhi Himapita
Vastita
Ashtadali
Pradhanamika
Tara Madhi Himapita
Udale Vastita Bhagavad Pradhanamika Ratan Pan Bosiya Chen Duri Vijani Swanam Sande Sundar Radhika
Vrindavan Divya
Bosiya
Chintamani Ratana Mandira Manohara Urupalavanyadashi Amiya Puriche
Purita
Kasi
Pasi Asya Parihas
Bhasha Urupalavanyadashi
Rupavannarasi
Amiya
Amiya Puriche
Puriche
Khasi
Asya
Asya
Parihasa
Parihas
Bhasha Narottama
Dasa Koya Nitya Sukhaya Sadas Puru Kamo
Vrindavana Ramyasana Divya Chintamani Dhama Ratana Mandirama Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
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 Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare, Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. Wishing everybody a warm welcome to the class today. I'll just say the prayers quickly and then we'll continue. We'll finish the introduction today, hopefully. But before we begin, let me just quickly do the prayer. I'm not sharing the slides of the prayer. I welcome all of you. And so the prayer, Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanangana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Madhyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahaganaganatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sahaganadalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinde Vrindavaneshwari वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्दा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम Rama Rama Hare Hare. So let's begin with the introduction. Somebody would like to take up reading from now one may think. Yesterday, what all we had discussed were we went through all the different confusions we were having related to Brahma having non-vegetarian food, related to the regulative principles and whether they have relevance in scriptures. And we discovered that yes, the Vedas do proclaim that there are regulations, but there can be regulated. So some allowances are there. However, the highest, that is to reach the Vaishnava grade, it is important to follow the four regulative principles strictly. At the same time, I also mentioned very clearly that no one needs to feel pressurized at any point of time. Just chant and you will be led by Krishna very gently and beautifully into whatever is best, because knowledge will dawn and awaken in your heart when you chant. So, and then we read partly the meanings of all the verses and we understood how Krishna is a supreme person, and many versions of Gita will not say that, whereas the whole book, even the heading of the book states that this is a book by the Supreme Lord Himself, not some human being pretending to be a yogi and pretending to, make up some story. This is Krishna, the Lord Himself, who comes, and we will not understand the Gita without this basic understanding. So, like yesterday, I would really love if everybody participates actively. Kindly raise your hands, and we would love everyone to.
Mataji, I can read.
Yes, please, Shirish Prabhu, you can start reading. I want to also remind everyone, SEVA Krishna Kumar Prabhuji has shared the attendance link. I request everybody to kindly, mark your attendance for the level 2 class. Yes, Prabhu, you can begin.
I have to start
Now,
from now one way, no?
yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Now one may think that because Krishna was the friend of Arjuna was telling him all.
I'm not able to hear Prabhuji. Is everybody, have I lost or everybody is not able to hear? Shirish Prabhu, you are on mute. We are not able to hear you. Hare Krishna, Shirish Prabhu, you are on mute. We can't hear you. Okay, maybe Riya Mataji can continue and Shirish Prabhu can come in. And I think it's some disturbance. We can't hear Shirish Prabhu.
I'll read.
Yes, please do it, Riya.
Now one may think that because Krishna was the friend of Arjuna, Arjuna was telling him all this by way of flattery. But Arjuna, just to drive out this kind of doubt from the minds of the readers of the Bhagavad Gita, substantiates these praises in the next verse when he says that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead not only by himself, but by authorities like Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasadeva.
I'm
These
really
are
sorry for some disturbance because my mother-in-law is 98 and she had some difficulties, so she called me. Sorry for the disturbance.
Oh, okay, Shirish Prabhu, no issues. You can read from after 2, 3 paragraphs. Riya Mataji
Yeah,
will
yeah,
read and
okay. When
take
you
it up
tell
from
me,
there
I will
only.
do it. Okay, sorry.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sure, yeah.
he can read
Yeah,
the
sometimes
next
you have to do
paragraph.
so. Yeah, please continue.
These are great personalities who distribute the Vedic knowledge as it is accepted by all acharyas. Therefore, Arjuna tells Krishna that he accepts whatever he says to be completely perfect. Sarvam etritam manye. I accept everything you say to be true. Arjuna also says that the personality of the Lord is very difficult to understand, and that he cannot be known even by the great demigods. This means that the Lord cannot even be known by personalities greater than human beings. So, how can a human being understand Lord Sri Krishna without becoming his devotee?
Yeah, so I think we did read this paragraph last week, I mean, yesterday also. And I think this is where we're supposed to start, where Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. Riya Mataji, you can continue a few more paragraphs and then you can hand over to Shirish Prabhu.
Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. One should not think that he is equal to Krishna, nor should he think that Krishna is an ordinary personality or even a very great personality. Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So, according to the statements of Bhagavad Gita or the statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and with that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand the Bhagavad Gita, because it is a great mystery. Just what is the Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nuisance of material existence. Every man is in difficulty in so many ways, as Arjuna was also in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna surrendered unto Sri Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, but every one of us is full of anxieties because of this material existence. Our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal, but somehow or other we are put into asat. Asat refers to that which does not exist. Should
Okay,
I
thank you,
continue?
Riya. I just want to add over here, that this idea of this whole existence being eternal, yet it is asat. What is asat exactly? So, the scriptures clearly explain to us that anything which has a beginning and an end does not really exist, because by virtue of being temporary, it is unreal, in the sense that when you take some mud and you make a pot out of it, the pot is a temporary existence. Ultimately, it is a mud which stays, right? But later on, when it rains, the mud pot gets dissolved or gets, it's broken, and then it's gets into pieces and it becomes mud again. Likewise, anything that we see around the world, you need to think, does this have an end? If there's a happiness, you think I'm going to get happiness. Will this happiness be permanent? Or if you see, things around you, it exists forever. So if something is eternal, that is said to be Sat. So something which is, the ultimate truth. And Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita that his energies are definitely, Sat, because they are always there. At the same time, these different forms that we see around us, the material bodies, the universes, these are all temporary because they keep on getting, once they come, they get manifest and then they get unmanifest. Then again, they get manifest. So because they are, never permanent, they are said to be asat. Secondly, if you look at the soul or you look at the super soul, Tanya, then you can see that they are eternal because Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita that they are Sat. That means they are existing forever. So this understanding is what the Sankhya yogis, that's what they use. What they do is they keep looking at everything around them and they keep, and trying to figure out what is true, what is not true. And they say, Naiti, Naiti, not this, not this. Is this truth? No, this is not. And that is how they come to the ultimate reality of the ultimate truth that Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead and all his parts are what exists forever. Things we see around us are more like a dream. So suppose when you're sleeping, you see that, okay, you become something or you're doing, you reach somewhere. And when you wake up, you realize that it's all been just a dream. Likewise, this whole material existence is actually like a dream. Why? Because you're born and then you become something, you grow a little bigger, you get married, and all these different changes happen to us. And then we find that ultimately more. That is 100% certainty. Therefore, it is all untrue, it's all temporary. So, this understanding, when we deeply think about it in our daily lives, we will be able to relate to the idea that we are soul, and then the whole way we look at the world changes great deal. We need to pray that. Okay, Shri Prabhu, would you like to continue from out of so many human beings?
Okay. Hare
And I
Krishna.
want everybody to take turns and raise hands and read. Even if it's just a few verses, it's nice to take turn and read. You can also share your own. Doesn't have to be me, sharing always. All of us can participate.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Shri, are you able to read now from
Yeah.
out of so many?
Yeah. Out of so many human beings who are suffering, there are few who are actually inquiring about their position as to what they are, why they are put into this awkward position, and so on. Unless one is awakened to this position of questioning his sufferings, unless he realizes that he doesn't want suffering, but rather wants to make a solution to all sufferings, then one is not to be considered a perfect human being. Humanity begins when this sort of inquiry is awakened in one's mind. In the Brahma Sutra, this inquiry is called Brahma Jidnyasa. Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. Every activity of the human being is to be considered a failure unless he inquires about the nature of the Absolute. Therefore, those who begin to question why they are suffering or where they came from and where they shall go after death are proper students understanding Bhagavad Gita. The sincere students who also have a firm respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a student was Arjuna. Lord Krishna descends specifically to re-establish the real purpose of life when man forgets that purpose. Even then, out of many human beings who awaken, there may be one who actually enters the spirit of understanding his position, and for him this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. Actually, we are all swallowed by the tigress of nations, but the Lord is very merciful upon living entities, especially human beings. To this end, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjun his student. Mataji, I continue or you want to give some commentary? Being an associate of the Lord Krishna, Arjun was above all ignorance. But Arjun was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problem of life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generations of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. The man could act accordingly and prefer the mission of human life. Perfect the mission of
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much,
yeah.
Shirish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So in this, what we have come to know is, we come to realize how fortunate it is that we are given this opportunity to read and understand the Bhagavad Gita. The real purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to reestablish, and understand what is our purpose. So that it begins with all of us here, we are all curious, why are we here? Without that understanding, we won't even seek the Gita. Also, one beautiful understanding, a beautiful statement made in the paragraph which was first read by Shirish Prabhu is that you need to understand that this world is basically suffering. If you can't understand, this world is dukhalayam ashashvatam. And people keep on trying to say, oh, this is a beautiful world, and keep on taking selfies and smiling and trying to pretend that they are happy. Whereas, the true person who's really understood the world is one who sees that despite happy moments, sadness is also, always there. Even behind happiness, there is sadness. You see a person who's smiling all the time, you can see that there is, some sadness definitely in his heart. So there is suffering. Only when you see that there is suffering and you understand that there is suffering, you start searching for the truth. What is it? Why is there so much suffering? And then you come to read the Gita, you come to see what is that there is a place called Vaikuntha where there is no kunta, no suffering at all. And then you start seeking out to that, end. So Brahmand Brahmito koi bhagyavan jeev. We are, very grateful and fortunate to get this, Bhakti Lata Beach. So once we get this Bhakti Lata Beach, we water it by chanting, by reading, by listening. And then this little beach will grow and grow. And, if you don't remember chapter 15, we have this image of the inverted tree. So we grow that this little sapling will grow and you water it. It grows up, and it reaches the spiritual world and the lotus feet of the Lord, which is our all ultimate destination. So we should all become sincere students. We should all be like Arjuna, and we should understand that we are actually swallowed by the tigress. Nothing small. Maya, when she actually swallows us, it's like a tigress of nescience. Nescience is everything that is materialistic and unreal. And the Lord is very merciful to give us a Bhagavad Gita, but it comes only to very, very few. As we know, many times Krishna has said, Manushyanam Sahasreshu or Bahunam Janmanamante. This knowledge of the Gita will come only after many, many births. So we are, fortunate to have accumulated so many pious, not exactly pious deeds, so many spiritual points to now be able to understand the Gita. Someone could start reading the subject of Bhagavad Gita, how it has 5 topics and what are the 5 main topics, which I did already covered in the level 1. Deepak Prabhu, would you like to read from the subject of Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu, you are.
Okay, I will proceed. The subject of the Bhagavad Gita entails the comprehension of 5 basic truths. First of all, the science of God is explained, and then the constitutional position of the living entities, jivas. There is a Ishvara, which means the controller, and there are jivas, the living entities which are controlled. If the living entity says that he is not controlled but that he is free, then he is insane. The living being is controlled in every respect, at least in his conditioned life. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, sub- the subject matter deals with the Ishvara, the supreme controller, and the Jivas, the controlled living entities. Prakriti, material nature, and the time, the duration of existence of the whole universe or the manifestation of material nature, and karma, activity, are also discussed. The cosmic manifestation is full of different activities. All living entities are engaged in different activities. From Bhagavad Gita, we must learn what God is, what the living entities are, what Prakriti is, what the cosmic manifestation is, how it is controlled by time, and what the activities of the living entities are. Out of these five basic subject matters in Bhagavad Gita, it is established that the Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahman, or the Supreme Controller, or Paramatma, you may use whatever name you like, is the greatest of all. The living beings are in quality like the Supreme Controller. For instance, the Lord has control over the universal affairs of the material nature, as will be explained in the later chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Material nature is not independent. She is acting under the directions of the Supreme Lord. As Lord Krishna says, Maya Dhyaksena Prakriti Suyate Sa Charak Aram. This material nature is working under my direction. When we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature, we should know that behind this cosmic manifestation there is a controller. Nothing could be manifested without being controlled. It is childish not to consider the controller. For instance, a child may think that an automobile is quite wonderful to be able to run without a horse or other animal pulling it. But a sane man knows that the nature of the automobile's engineering arrangement. He always knows that behind the machinery there is a man, a driver. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the driver under whose direction everything is working. Now, the jivas or the living entities have been accepted by the Lord, as we will note in the later chapters, as his parts and parcel. A particle of God is also gold. A particle of gold is also gold. A drop of water from the ocean is also salty. And similarly, we, the living entities, being part and parcel of Supreme Controller Ishvara or Bhagwan Lord Krishna, have all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in minute quantity because we are minute Ishwaras, subordinate Ishwaras. We are trying to control nature as presently we are trying to control the space or planets. And this tendency to control is there because it is Krishna. But although we have a tendency to lord it over material nature, we should know that we are not the supreme controller. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you so much, Deepak Prabhu. So, this is again, kind of reminding us how Krishna is a controller and how there are people who say that, oh, you, the Paramatma and the soul are one and the same. If you do a lot of, meditation and you give up all sense enjoyment and everything, you will become God Himself. You'll find in this Buddhist philosophy also, oh, there's no difference between the Buddha and me. I can also become the can all become the Buddha and we could all become Buddhas. So that concept or idea that there is no God and not accepting the superiority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually because of Maya. Maya is blinding us with the fact that we are minute Ishwaras. It's not that we are not Ishwaras. It's not that we are not Krishna. We are Krishna, but we are minute, very, very minute Krishnas. And we have control over our body and we have limited control. However, when we do become, spiritual beings, then we also get a lot of much more power than what we have now. Like we'll be able to travel across space and time. We can multiply ourselves into many, and we have the same characteristics of Krishna. Yet Krishna will always remain the supreme person because he's the origin of everything, the cause of all causes, and there can be only one origin point is only one. He goes on expanding and expanding. So, it is fine to say that we are little Krishnas, but trying to say that we can become at some point in our spiritual journey God Himself is a big, big mistake which many Vedantists proclaim. So, we need to be very careful and guard against listening to those people. They are called Mayavadis by Srila Prabhupada. And he explains, and as we delve deep into Srila Prabhupada's books, we clearly understand that this concept is, very much false because when you really meditate, we can understand that, Krishna is the supreme controller and dreaming that one day we will become that is, very, is basically the reason why we are trapped here. In fact, it's like we're falling back into the same trap, the envy trap where we want to become Lord. Like, for example, Hiranyakashipu. He thinks I can kill Brahma and become Brahma. So all these Rakshasas, they think that, oh God, I can take the position. It's like these, we hear about these stories where someone kills the king and wants to become the king. And they think likewise we can just kill God and become God. They have no clue what, God actually is. What is Krishna? How he is Ishvara. So this point, and also very beautifully, all these things have been brought about how there is an engineer, there is an automobile, there has to be an engineer. Likewise, this whole world is created by someone, and when we keep looking around, we must be able to reflect upon who the creator is. But this we have done many times. Riya Mataji must have experienced. You will remember me teaching this point even in school when you were there at SSVM. How we explained how we should keep remembering it. If there is a creation, it can't be from nowhere. There is a creator, and then you try to understand the creator. And in fact, at some point in your spiritual journey, you will be able to see him when you are able to realize your material, your spiritual senses. Right now we are covered, and so we can't see him. Just because we are covered by and materially contaminated doesn't mean he doesn't exist, right? So this is my most exciting thing about the Gita, material nature and modes and all that. Somebody else would like to read? Who else has
Can I
raised
ask a
hand? I
quick
can see only
question?
Riya Mataji. Okay, Shreya. Yes, Shreya Mataji. Please read from
Hare
material
Krishna.
nature.
Riya
Hare
Mataji has a
Krishna.
question. She said.
Yeah, please.
No, she has a question.
You have
I
a
have a
question on the
question,
chat,
Mataji.
or you want to ask?
I want to ask. It's
Yes,
very
Riya, please
quick.
go
It's
ahead.
about the text Prabhuji read earlier. So we are um, same in quality but not in quantity to Krishna. So we are
That's
given
right.
free will, right? Is it for
We
the
are.
same reason? Free will. Like we can
Yes,
choose
yes.
whether to do something, but the consequences are in Krishna's hands. Is it for the
We can
same
choose
reason?
to
Like,
do.
why do we
Yeah.
have free will? It's because we're in the same as quality, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, then thank you. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. We do have free will because we are Krishnas, we are little Krishnas, but our free will is curtailed because right now we are put in the jail, sort of, this material world is like a jail. Why is our free will curtailed in this material world? Because we have committed the crime of trying to not be in harmony with God. As you can see, most people in this world, they are selfish and they are hardly bothered about, about the world around them. They just bother about themselves. That is the whole reason why the material world is created. And as you go deep into spirituality, you really experience that if I work in God's plan and if I understand that I'm part and parcel of Him, then you'll be able to already experience some sort of a freedom rather than always people who are so kind of burdened by their selfish desires running after them and not acknowledging that we are part and parcel of God. Understanding your constitutional position actually liberates us. The whole reason for our binding is because we have been envious of the Lord. So that's why our free will is also curtailed, yet we do have free will, and the consequences are, of course, sanctioned by the Lord. Although they're sanctioned by the Lord, they are earned by us. We are the ones who are the reason for being trapped in this material world. We are ourselves the reason for being having repeated births and deaths. And we ourselves will be the ones who will earn spiritual points to go back to our original constitutional position. So have I answered the question, dear? Was that in
Yes,
line with what you
Mataji.
were asking?
Yes.
Yeah. Shreya Mataji would like to continue reading.
Yeah, okay. What is material nature? This is also explained in the Gita as inferior prakriti, inferior nature. The living entity is explained as the superior prakriti. Prakriti is always under control, whether inferior or superior. Prakriti is female and she is controlled by the Lord, just as the activities of a wife are controlled by the husband. Prakriti is always subordinate, predominated by the Lord, who is the predominator. The living entities and material nature are both predominated, controlled by the Supreme Lord. According to the Gita, the living entities, although parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are said to be considered Prakriti. This is clearly mentioned in the seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. aparyam itastva anvyam. This material nature is my and this is another Prakriti. Jiva Bhuta itself is constituted by three qualities: the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Above these modes, there is eternal time. And by a combination of these modes of nature, and under the control and purview of eternal time, there are activities which are called karma. These activities are being carried out from time immemorial, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruits of our activities. For instance, suppose I am a businessman and have worked very hard with intelligence and have amassed a great bank balance. Then I am an enjoyer, but then I say I have lost all my money in business. Then I am a sufferer. Similarly, in every field of life, we enjoy the results of our work or we suffer the results. This is called karma. Should I continue? Okay.
Yes,
Ishwar.
yes, Mataji,
Okay.
please continue. Ishwara also you can
Okay.
read, please.
Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Jiva, the living entity, Prakriti, nature, Kal, eternal time, and Karma, activity, are all explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Out of these five, the Lord, the living entities, material nature, and time are eternal. The manifestation of Prakriti it is not false. Some philosophers say, but according to the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, or according to the philosophy of the Vaishnavas, this is not so. The manifestation of the world is not accepted as false. It is accepted as real but temporary. It is likened onto a cloud which moves across the season, which nourishes grains. As the clouds goes away, all the crops which were nourished by the rain dry up. Similarly, this material manifestation takes place at a certain interval, stays for a while, and then disappears. Such are the workings of Prakriti. But the cycle is working eternally. Therefore, Prakriti is eternal, it is not false. The Lord refers to this as my Prakriti. This material nature is the separated energy of the Supreme Lord, and similarly, the living entities are also the energy of the Supreme Lord, although they are not separated but eternally related. So, the Lord, the living entity, material nature, and time are all interrelated and are all eternal. However, the other item, karma, is not eternal. The effects of karma may be very old indeed. We are suffering or enjoying the results of our activities from time immemorial, but we can change the results of our karma or our activity. And this change depends on the perfection of our knowledge. We are engaged in various activities. Undoubtedly, we do not know what sort of activities we should adopt to gain relief from the actions and reactions of all those activities, but this is all explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thanks a lot. So this, is so eye-opening, right? So, people in this world, they are running and doing so many activities, and they just don't have the knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. They're like running from pillar to pole, trying to get this, trying to get that, trying to achieve this, trying to achieve that. And only when the Bhagavad Gita comes to us and we hear of it from some devotee, we understand. Even if we just open the pages and try to read, we cannot just get it. Simple idea actually. We are soul, we are not this body. The karma is binding us, gunas are binding us. This material nature is actually a bondage. This body is a jail in which we are trapped. These teachings are actually quite simple. But to realize this knowledge requires us to constantly be listening to, the Gita from devotees, requires us to chant. Chanting is a very fast process of understanding ultimate truth. It's really fast. Why? Because when we chant, we really struggle to bring our mind to listen to the words, and then we practice mind control. Without controlling this stupid monkey mind, if we let our mind run after the sense objects, we will never have focus. Remember, Krishna had said in the chapter 2, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, don't be somebody whose mind is running after 10,000 things. You only need to be single-minded like Arjuna, who could just see the eye of the bird. Don't keep worrying about so many. I should please my mother, I should please my father, I should please my children, I should please my husband. You just need to please Krishna. Everybody will be pleased if you please Krishna, because it's like watering the root. And so, also in this paragraph, we have understood about what is eternal. It's explained very clearly that the Jiva is eternal, Paramatma or the Supreme Person is eternal, and even nature, although it keeps on manifesting and gets annihilated again and again, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because it is explained by Krishna in chapter 7 as being an inferior energy. So it's an energy. It's not something which is unreal. It's real. Only thing is, it is being manifested, and then it takes different forms, and because of Prakriti and Gunas, they take so many different forms, and then they have to go on and on, the cycle of birth and death, getting punished, in a variety of ways. It's like a school. This whole material world is like a school for us. And we are fortunate to get into, the final part, where you just know that before death, you need to understand that Krishna is a Lord. We need to connect with Him. And at that moment, we'll be able to escape this terrible cycle of birth and death, which we have been going on for so long. Aren't we tired? Just this understanding that this has been a cycle. And it's so revealing. It's so amazing to get this knowledge. We really need to be grateful for that. So, shall we continue reading the position of Ishvara, the position of Krishna? Anybody else would like to read? Riya Mataji is really ready. Anyone else would like to try? Otherwise, Riya Mataji can continue from here on. Okay, Anisha. Anisha Mataji, can I hear from you? Thank you so much.
Hare
You can
Krishna.
read from the position of Ishvara, the Supreme Lord.
Yes, Mataji. The position of Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, is that of supreme consciousness. The jivas, or the living entities, being parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, are also conscious. Both the living entity and material nature are explained as Prakriti, the energy of the Supreme Lord, but one of the two, the jiva, is conscious. The other Prakriti is not conscious. That is the difference. Therefore, the jiva Prakriti is called superior because the jiva has consciousness which is similar to the Lord's. The Lord's is supreme consciousness, however, and one should not claim that the jiva, the living entity, is also supremely conscious. The living being cannot be supremely conscious at any stage of his perfection, and the theory that he can be so is a misleading theory. Conscious he may be, but he is not perfectly or supremely conscious. The distinction between the Jiva and the Ishvara will be explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is Kshetragna, conscious, as is the living being, but the living being is conscious of his particular body, whereas the Lord is conscious of all bodies. Because he lives in the heart of every living being, he is conscious of the psychic movements of the particular Jivas. We should not forget this. It is also explained that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara, as the controller, and that he is giving directions for the living entity to act as he desires. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes a determination to act in a certain way, and then he is entangled in actions and reactions of his own karma. After giving up one type of body, he enters another type of body as we take off and put on clothes. As the soul thus migrates, he suffers the actions and reactions of his past activities. These activities can be changed when the living being is in the mode of goodness, insanity, and understands what sort of activities he should adopt. If he does so, then all the actions and reactions of his past activities can be changed. Consequently, karma is not eternal. Therefore, we stated that of the 5 items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, time, and karma, 4 are eternal, whereas karma is not eternal. The supreme conscious Ishvara is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. It is not that consciousness is generated by the association of matter. That is a mistaken idea. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in the Bhagavad Gita. Consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as light reflected through colored glass may appear to be a certain color, but the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. Lord Krishna says, Maya Dhyakshena Prakritihi. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. If he were so affected, he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matters as he does in the Bhagavad Gita. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this materially contaminated consciousness. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of the Ishvara, and that will make us happy. It is not that we have to cease all activities. Rather, our activities are to be purified, and the purified activities are called bhakti. Activities in bhakti appear to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. An ignorant person may see that a devotee is acting or working like an ordinary man, but such a person with poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. They are transcendental to the three modes of nature. We should know, however, at this point our consciousness is contaminated. When we are
Thank you so
materially
much.
contaminated,
Yeah.
yes,
Mataji,
ma'am.
I'd just like to add some points here, Anisha Mataji. Thank you so
Yes,
much
yes, madam.
for reading so beautifully. So we began by
Hare Krishna.
understanding Hare Krishna. We began by understanding about consciousness. Recently, I heard one lecture by Srila Prabhupada, and he was talking about, this body. We have to constantly remember that it is just matter. It is just gross material things which make up the body. For example, if now in our present body state, if we even put a small cut with a blade or a needle poked by the doctor, we can feel it. But the moment the soul is out of the body is there right as it is. All the parts are there inside it. But you can even go and chop off the hands and legs or whatever, you can do anything. It feels nothing. It's like dead. And then also still you will find the person who loves him, his relatives, they will be loving him so much. The person who is gone away, who's died, they can still feel so much of attachment and love and affection for one who is gone. And at the same time, what do? They will go and either cremate that body or they will burn the body, and still they will have this strong emotion of love for that person. Why? Because the body was not the person at all in the first place. It was a soul. So this difference, distinction between a consciousness, that we are not this body, that we are actually soul, and soul is a characteristic of consciousness, is the most important and difficult, I would say, realization that we need to carry with ourselves day and night. That will make a huge difference to our lives when we know that this soul, we are on a journey. This is just a cloth. We've just put on this dress, like a dress, we've put on this material body. And the next material body, we are going to be chalking out. It's like, walking. For example, when a person is walking, right, he will not put both his legs in the air at the same time. He will place one leg on the floor, and that means he has taken that particular birth. And while he's while in the process of living his life on this birth, the other leg is already being lifted and getting ready to put it forward to the next birth. That means even in this birth, while it's going on, we are doing different things which are chalking out the kind of body or the kind of life we are going to live in the next body. So every birth, our desires, our karmas are constantly, preparing our next body. By the time our soul departs from this body, the next body is already ready. It just moves from out of one body into the womb of a mother. based on whatever, karma have been doing. It's such a complex and amazing, beautiful thing which is happening around us. And only when we read the Gita and think very deeply about it and listen to so many great devotees explaining, gradually this beautiful knowledge reveals to us. So we have seen how out of the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita, only 4 of them I mean, all 4 of them are eternal, and only one karma is not. And thank God it is not. And of course, there's a reason for it. Just by doing devotional activities, you can burn all your karma. And these gunas, these different 3 modes, which is what is the component of material nature, they are binding us. We can actually transcend them by simply living in a spiritual realm by always dedicating ourselves, whatever we do, to Krishna, because that is ultimately what everybody in the spiritual world is doing. So once we start doing that, we're already in the spiritual realm, and we rise above these bindings of the 3 modes when we start living in the Shuddh Sattva Gun. So this understanding of consciousness being contaminated, and that we are actually pure consciousness, we are all bright, beautiful spiritual beings, but right now we are conditioned, is also something very important that we need to understand, because only then we will try to get ourselves liberated from this conditioned form that we are trapped in right now. Would somebody like to continue reading, or someone new is there to read?
Can I ask a question about
Yes,
the
Riya. Yes, please.
so right about identifying ourselves as the soul and not the body? It's very difficult because for me, I feel that it's like I have a personality, right? And it's
Yes,
like that personality comes from the mind, right? It comes from experiences that I
yes,
have lived in this body because I don't remember in my past lives, right? What kind of
correct.
personality I had. So therefore, my sense of self and how I identify is based on the experiences I have had in this body. So that is what makes it difficult because I've noticed in the Bhagavad Gita, the soul is kind of described as while being like an amazing source, like a very amazing thing, it's it doesn't really, for me, it doesn't seem to emanate any sort of personality, and that makes it difficult for me to identify with it, right?
I understand, Riya. Perfect. Such a beautiful and, very deep question. You're very right. Actually, we are spirit souls, and the idea of spirit soul, just as that idea about God, initially when we think about God, we just think of him as some power, as some energy, right? It's difficult for us to think that this thing, which is this power, which is controlling everything in this universe, is a person. Isn't it difficult to look at God as a person? Similarly, to look at ourselves as a spirit soul, it feels like it's just a small little piece of light, which is just 1/10,000th part of a tip of a hair, and I am that little thing, and it has so much of consciousness, which is so powerful. And looking at that as a personality, it's very difficult. I completely agree with you. But the as we delve deeper, we also realize that right now this little spirit soul, which is contaminated, it is now thinking that it is this body. You are actually spirit soul, Riya, but you're thinking that you are Riya. This Riya that you are is a temporary manifestation, which is based on the different activities you performed in all your previous births and the different gunas and your desires. So you've just taken up this form of Riya, but you are not actually Riya. The soul, you may think, is not having a personality because it is right now contaminated. But it very much has a personality. The spirit soul actually has spiritual senses. It is just like Krishna in a miniature Krishna, where all the parts can do all the other functions. And it has a relationship, some kind of a rasa which it enjoys with the Supreme Lord. And to realize that constitutional position and what you really are is what devotional service leads you to. That is why we need to constantly detach. What does Krishna say in chapter 15? He says that please understand that this whole world is just a reflection, and the real world is your spiritual world. It is very much like, it's not that, why does he say reflection? It's not like the spiritual world is vastly different. There's a lot of similarity between what is there in this world, but the spiritual world is like million times more beautiful with, and it is transcendental, and we can't actually understand, understand how it's going to be. But then we have to place our faith in the scriptures, and we have to, gradually come to realize that I am a pure spirit, and that's a person, not just an energy or something. It's very difficult to relate if we think that, oh, actually I'm just some kind of a spark or an energy, and what is that, right? It's not even interesting. So when we have a spiritual body, we actually have a personality, and we actually have so much more power. Our spiritual body will have a lot of ability. It will have spiritual senses. It's not like you'll not be able to see here. You'll actually be able to see God. You'll actually be able to have much more. You have perfect senses which are spiritual. These things are very difficult to understand because, right, simply because we are contaminated. That is the whole reason why we need to understand what is contamination. What is material contamination? How we are conditioned for so many births. So Ria has now finding it difficult to relate with the soul because, she is by habit of so many births just thinking that she's a body. So that is the reason why. And then you, like you said, you relate to your mind. So your mind is also material, right? The Bhagavad Gita explains to us that even our mind and even our intelligence and the false ego, all these are all part of this temporary thing we're talking about. So really understanding who we really is very tough. It requires us to constantly do devotional service, to constantly engage in a higher transcendental reality, so that we don't get trapped in this big jail of circles of birth and death. And it's not easy. This knowledge comes to us, and then to actually realize it requires that effort and requires a determined effort to constantly detach ourselves and to attach ourselves to Krishna. And it will actually become an addiction when you keep yourself in devotee association, and when you constantly chant and you engage with whatever you do. Yena kena prakarena mane Krishna niveshayat. Whatever you do, you just relate it to Krishna, and you will find that, I mean, I am nowhere close at all. So I just know that from the, the gurus, that that state exists. And we're all just reaching out for that state of mind where we realize that spiritual being, which is not just an energy or without a personality, right? We have a rasa which we enjoy with the Lord. We have something, there is something very deep and profound. It's not, that it's very dull sort of a thing. It's extremely exciting. And we need to realize and be patient and persevere and be determined in this path, Ria. So we need to be patient and determined and stay enthusiastic and be in association of devotees and listen to all these pure devotees speaking. Did I answer your question, Ria?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. So, it is something that we are looking, okay, there's a spiritual world, Krishna is making promises, but we don't know till we are there. 3 minutes, Mata. So we'll just quickly read a little more and then we'll continue next class. So somebody could take up reading the last part of today's class. Anybody other than Ria with a hand raised?
I can read it,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji.
Yes, Tripti Mataji, please do read. I hope everybody's marked attendance. You all are 21 of you, minus myself and Prabhu, there should be 19. So I hope to see 19 people mark the attendance. Do mark the attendance. Yes, Tripti Mataji. So with the last section of reading, over to you, Mataji.
So when we are materially contaminated,
Mataji, 1 minute.
yeah,
There is
sure.
no attendance link for today. It's not yet posted in the chat.
No, it was posted a while ago. I'll just repost it. Krishna Kumar Prabhu had posted it. There I've
Yes,
just posted
Mataji, I'll post it again.
Okay. Please post it again, Prabhuji. All right, now you can continue reading. Please mark attendance. Hare Krishna.
Okay. When we are materially contaminated, we are called conditioned. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am a product of material nature. This is called false ego. One who is absorbed in the thought of bodily conceptions cannot understand his situation. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to liberate one from the bodily conception of life, and Arjuna put himself in this position in order to receive this information from the Lord. One must become free from the bodily conception of life, that is preliminary activity of the transcendentalist. One who wants to become free, who wants to become liberated, must first of all learn that he is not this material body. Mukti or liberation means freedom from material consciousness. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also the definition of liberation is given. Muktir hit one yata rupam. 1 second, sorry. Swarupena Vyavasthit. Mukti means liberation from the contaminated consciousness of this material world and the situation in pure consciousness. All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita are intended to awaken this pure consciousness, and therefore we find at the last of the Gita's consciousness. Consciousness is already there because we are part and parcel of the Lord. But for us, there is the affinity of being affected by the inferior modes. But the Lord, being the supreme, is never affected. That is the difference between the supreme Lord and the small individuals. Do I continue, Mataji?
Thank you. No, we'll study about consciousness in next class. I think we'll need some more classes for introduction actually. But isn't it nice to be reading, because I think I feel very nice to read it with all of your devotees. I hope you also, all of you feel the same way rather than rushing through, because after all, level 2 is where we really understand Gita well. And when you all come up with some questions or come up with doubts and discussions, it makes it really exciting. So today we have, understood about how the 5 different main topics of the Gita, which ones are eternal, which ones are not. And right now we have just begun understanding about the question which Riya Mataji had posted, talking about, what is this real soul or consciousness, and why is it contaminated, and why is it that I'm not able to understand or find it exciting or be able to relate to who I really am, and why I am so bound by the idea that I am this body, I am this Riya, or for example, I am Praveena Mataji, and trying to, it is so difficult to understand that I'm more than Praveena. I'm much more, I'm beyond, and trying to figure that out and trying to understand what is consciousness and what is contaminated consciousness. This is requires a lot of meditation and reading and understanding. So we'll continue on this beautiful journey next class. I can't turn on my video, but if you can, it would be nice if you could all, turn on your videos. I'll just take a screenshot and keep it, because I think we should all go on this beautiful journey together and complete this Bhagavad Gita within, say, a year. By a year, before a year, I hope we can complete a study of Bhagavad Gita, and I hope you will all stay with me. Thank you, Deepak Prabhu, Shirish Prabhu, for turning on your video. I am not able to do that because my, laptop is not, Nice to see you, Riya. So nice to see you. It's been so long. Yeah.
Hare Krishna
Thank you.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you so
Hare
much
Krishna
for being.
Mataji.
You have a doubt,
Mataji, a
Deepak
gentle
Prabhu?
Hare Krishna
No.
Mataji. This is Krishna
Sorry,
Kumar.
Prabhu.
I
Yes,
just
nice
logged
to
off
be
and
there.
just got just a gentle reminder for the attendance to be marked, Mataji, please.
Yes. Gentle reminder to everybody. Please mark your attendance before you leave, because we do want everyone to, we want to keep a
Come back.
track of how many of you are here with us every day. So we will meet next Monday. Nice to see you, Tripti Mataji, Manas Prabhu. So nice to see you. Thank you so much. When I use my other laptop, I'll also be able to turn on my video. No, today I can't. Yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. May I end the class today? Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.